a van. It's a festival in a van. Or a festival in a van. Wow. You.
Are we all here?
Are we all here? Are you sure you're all here? Didn't hear a word of that. Are you sure you're here now? Welcome, welcome everyone. It's so very good to see you and 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 you, everybody. Well, it's so very good to see you all. Are you all keeping well? Thumbs up. I like the thumbs up. The thumbs up is what we do because we're here to tell you a story or two. Ooh, do you like spooky stories? I don't know if you know this or not, but we're coming up to a very spooky time of year. Now, the thing about the scary stories is you must know that Halloween was and is still a very ancient Irish tradition. You see, I'm not sure you know this, but Halloween was started all of the long years ago when the fires were lit and the creatures of the other world could slip through the veil of this world and the next and land in here to steal babies away or play a trick on you. There were many creatures, many monsters, many creepies, but the greatest of them, the Banshee, the Headless Horseman, the Doulahan, the Merrows, the Selkies, and the Puka. The Puka. Now you wonder who the Puka is. Who's the Puka? You say, I hear someone say, what's that? Aha! Mahan. Well, very good, very good, very good. We know that a puka means a ghost. Asquelga. And pookie are a lots of little ghosts. You might be a ghost. You might be a ghost. And you, and you, and any one of you. You could be. Would you like to hear? Would you like to hear the story of the Puka and the Piper?
What?
Are you sure? Fado, a long time ago. Well, there was a piper, and his name was Paddy, and he lived in Galway. And he was a bit of a rogue. Oh, he was a rogue, all right. He only went from one place to the next place playing one tune. He only knew the one tune. And people used to say, Paddy the piper, would you not learn another tune? And he'd say, no. Go away, he'd say. I don't want to learn anything other than the one tune I know. 'Cause it does me. All I have to do is play the one tune and I get my bowl of soup and I get a drink of water. I might even get a cup of tea until I move on and play my tune in the next place and I get just the same. Now, Paddy the Piper was a little bit of a silly man and he went out walking after dark. During Samhain. Now, Samhain means November, so the whole month of November, people were telling stories about the Puka. That shapeshifter who could arrive and be a bunny rabbit, or a horse, or a spirit, a huge eagle, a tiny little gremlin and goblin. Now, Paddy the Piper didn't believe these types of stories. Ah, no, sure. Do you believe these types of stories? Are you sure? Well, Paddy the Piper, he went out walking one night, walking along the road. And he wasn't paying attention which way his feet were going. And all of a sudden, he heard a strange noise coming from behind him. Who?
Lads! Has anyone seen a piper? Lads, I need a piper. I need a piper for the party. Has anyone seen a piper anywhere? Are you sure? I heard. What about Paddy?
I'm not really a very good piper, said Paddy. I'm not really very good at all. I only know one tune. You should go over there. There's lots of girls and boys that might be able to play a tune for you over in that school over there.
Ah, Paddy, it's grand. You see, one tune is better than no tunes, and the Queen of the Banshee is having a party in her house, and we need a bit of entertainment. So hop up there on me back, Paddy, and off we'll go and entertain them. You right?
So he jumped up on his back, and suddenly the man that was standing in front of him, well, he turned into a horse. A big black horse with long dangling ears, and they started running then. And they ran and they jumped over the nearest hedge. And they went and they were going so fast, the blurring motion of all the trees were seen outside. And he was running and going and fast and flowing, running and going and fast and flowing, running and going and fast and flowing, over lakes and rivers and trees and mountains, until they came to a great big doorway. He knocked 3 times, and a huge stone moved out of the way, and a huge tunnel was seen. And they walked down underneath the ground, and they heard people eating and talking and merrymaking. And the Queen of the Banshees was there. Oh, she said, welcome to my lair and my party. We are having food and drinks and all things in between, and now it is time for you to sit down and play a tune. Puka, have you brought entertainment for us?
Oh, Queen, sure I brought. Who have I brought with me? Who have I brought? Paddy the Piper. And you're going to play us a tune, Paddy, aren't you?
No. Paddy looked at the Puka and said, Puka, I only know one tune. I can't play in front of all of these people for the whole night. What am I gonna do? But the Puka said, don't you worry about this. And the Puka touched the pipes. And suddenly, Paddy knew all of the tunes. And, oh my goodness, he started playing like he'd never played before. And he was jumping around playing jigs and reels, music like he'd never even known of. And he was clapping his hands. And people were jumping around the place. Oh, they were all dancing and singing. And clapping their hands. Dancing, and they were singing. They were having such a good old time by themselves. All night they played. They danced, they janked, they were silly, they made sunny faces. And so much music they were playing. Everyone forgot the time. Oh, it was very late. It was past everyone's bedtime. And by the end of the night, after playing so many tunes, Paddy the Piper had never known he could play so many magical tunes. The Pooka, well, he turned around to all of the fairies and the goblins and the great big goat that were standing there having their fun. And, well, he reminded them to maybe pay the piper. He said,
Now, you've had your entertainment, hasn't it been a fantastic evening of music? And pure Paddy's going home unsociable. His mother will give out to him. Where have you been all night, Paddy? And you're hungry and you need to be eaten. Where is your food?
And now, suddenly, all of the old Calyaks, the hags, the goblins, the spirits, they reached inside their pocket and they took out a gold coin. Oh! And they threw it to Paddy the Piper. Down at his feet, a pile of gold grew up like he'd never seen before. Oh! He put it in his pockets and he walked out of the door with the Pooka. Now, the Pooka, well, he laughed. Time to go back home, he thought. And suddenly, well, it was time to go back home. And although it was time, he knew he had to get back up on the Pooka and go for that devilishly daring, fast and furious race. And they went over the hills and far away, past the blurry shade of day. They went up and down, left and right, over the hills and trees. Oh, they couldn't stop. They couldn't slow. They were dancing, clapping and banging their feet. Phew! And they went so fast, they blurred on past until they finally landed back to Paddy the Piper's home in West Galway. And the Pooka threw him off unceremoniously. He landed on the ground. Oh, he rolled over because he had a sore bottom. Ow, my bottom. Now, the Pooka disappeared into the night. Vanished off into the ether. He became a wisp of smoke and disappeared. And Paddy the Piper, he went back in, he knocked on his mother's home. Where have you been? Where have you been? You've been out all night. You're drunk, you're silly old drunk. Get in now, out of you. I'll clip your ears. We all know how harsh mothers can be. Now, we all sit down and we listen to the last bit of the story. Very good. Because Paddy the Piper said, no, mammy, no. Sure, don't you know? The Pooka, he stole me away. And I went under the hills. And this day, I swear to you now, mammy, I wouldn't lie. I went playing beautiful music for all the fairy people. Under the mountain, I was there, and the queen of the banshees were there, and a big giant goat was there, and all of the fairies and the goblins, the creatures and the spirits from the other world were there, and I was entertaining them. And she said, you're a Paddy go out that. You're only dreaming, Paddy. Stop, sure, you only know one tune. And he said, no, mammy, no, honest to God, no. Look at this now. Sure, I'll play you a tune. Look at this. Sure, Paddy, go out that. You're rubbish altogether. And Paddy the Piper, he couldn't play. He said, no. He had a moment. He had several moments, actually. He cried for a while. You know, a bit of a tantrum. He wailed around the place. He kicked the door. Anyway, he banged his head. But he swore, because no one would believe him. And the neighbours were banging on the door saying, be quiet, cut out that racket. He said he would spend the money that he was given by the fairy host to buy a new set of pipes. And for a year and a day, from that moment forward, Paddy the Piper, started learning all of the tunes he played that night with the puka. He started learning and practicing. And for a year and a day, he didn't put down the pipes. And lo and behold, the following year, on Iahona, on Samhain Eve, he came back and was able to play the jigs and the reels and the music and every single one of the tunes he played that night in the puka's feast. Oh! You! Oh, they always dance. Paddy the Piper, who was given his music from the puka. And for all of the time Paddy ever had to play music, people would always ask him to play that one tune that he knew all the time before. But for every music and tune and jig and reel that the piper played, he always knew he had the puka to thank for. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a very loud noise. No! Would you like to hear one more spooky story? Are you sure you won't be too scared? What? Do you like shouting for the sake of shouting? Well then. Fado.
Now you have to tell them about the wind. Our wind machine is broken.
Yeah, our wind machine. We had an amazing wind machine, but the wind machine is broken. The wind. So now we need a sound effect for this story to really work. Okay. So to make this story work, to just the perfection, because we are all looking for perfection. And to make this really perfect, we're gonna need a wind noise, okay? So, when I say the wind blew once, we go, ooh. Okay, we're gonna get better at this. The wind blew twice, ooh. A little bit louder for the wind blew thrice. Very, very good. You might be the best wind-making machines I've ever seen. I might have to replace my wind-making machine. Now, when that comes up, we'll let you know. For now, Fado, a long time, but not that long ago, there was a bonfire. Around the fire, all of the townspeople gathered. This was a town up in Donegal, in the north of the island of Ireland. And an old man was sitting down, and he told a ghost story to the children who were listening. Were they listening? Just checking in. Now, this old man was telling them a story about the ghost in the Spooky Gable. He guarded a large amount of gold that lay on his table. Now, these three little kids that were sitting down was a lad named Neil, and his sister, Sarah, and their little baby daughter, sister, Lil Sarah and Neil. These were the three little children, and they were going home. But Neil said to Sarah, let's go on down. Let's go down to the Spooky Gable. Let's go and steal the gold. So Mommy and Daddy will be so happy. They'll have the gold. Yeah. And Sarah said, okay. And Lil said, little baby Lil, they're going to have to bring her. And she said, They took that as confirmation and left. Now they walked down past the crossroads, past the scary tree, and into the field with 3 corners. Now they came across the Spooky Gable. And Neil said, "Okay, Lil, you stay there. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm the man. I'm not scared of nothing." And he walked down. He walked on close to the Spooky Gable. And his heart was beating in his chest. And he opened the door. And he peered inside. He saw the dark shadows in the walls and the cobwebs. And he started walking, and his heart was beating in his chest. And then a big spider. And he turned around and he ran away. And he said to his sister, Sarah, no, it's too scary to go in there. We can't go in there, it's too scary. I think we should go on home. That Spooky Gable is too scary for me and you. But Sarah said, "Don't be silly. I'm not scared of no spiders." So I'm gonna go in and get the gold for myself, because I'm an independent, strong, self-righteous woman. So you watch me go. And she walked on down, and she opened the door, and she peered inside. Ooh. And she saw the shadows. She saw the cobwebs. She saw the spider. She didn't scream though. She walked down the long corridor and she came to a door. And just before she opened it, a rat ran across her feet. And she turned around and ran out the door and she said, "It's too scary. It's too scary. I can't do it. Neil, let's go home. Let's bring little Lil Bon home and agree never to come back here again." And Neil said, "Yeah." But Lil said, So Neil and Sarah, they looked at Lil waddling down in her big nappy all the way down to the Spooky Gable. And she opened the door like this. And she waddled on in. And the spider hung down, and she saw it, and she said, and she waddled on forward, and she saw the mice and the rats at her feet, and she said, and she saw the final door, and she opened it like this. And then she saw the most magnificent sight. Wow. A huge pile of gold was sitting on the table. More gold and jewels and emeralds and sapphires than she had ever seen in her entire life. And then the wind blew once. The wind blew twice. The wind blew thrice. And she heard a voice come from the Spooky Gable.
I'm the ghost of the Spooky Gable, and that's my gold, and it stays on my table.
Well, Lil decided to say, "My name's Lil, and I come from nursery, and I say that gold should come with me." Well, the wind blew, the table was knocked, and the ghost tried to go for her as she started grabbing gold and stuffing it in her nappy. And she grabbed the gold and stuffed it in her nappy, and she waddled all the way out. And she got to her friends, Neil and Sarah, and they said, "Oh my goodness, look at all the gold falling out of your nappy." And they ran on home, and they had a great big party to celebrate a happy ever after. Oh, they were happy. Oh! Clap your hands. Clap. Nod your head. Clap your hands. Nod your head. And dance your feet. Shake your feet. Nod your head. Clap your hands. Woo! You! Can you feel it? Can you feel the music? Can you feel the music inside you? Feel the music? Nod your head and clap your hands. You! Yee-hoo! Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I believe you've been a brilliant first. You're the first audience that I have personally had from being in a van. Wow. Wow. Have you ever seen a festival in a van? Do you think you're very lucky for seeing a festival in a van? Now, I have some very important homework. Oh, don't worry. It's the good kind of homework. You see, your job, your mission, your duty, after hearing a story, is to go and tell someone the story. You see, that's the only way you keep these stories alive. And you can do many things after you hear a story. You could write it out. You could paint. You could do a bit of both. Calligraphy. Too much. Okay, fair enough. You could draw a picture. You could write a story. Or you could tell someone about it. Do you think you'd like to tell someone the story of the puka? Interesting response. What about, would you like to tell someone the story of the Spooky Gable? Mixed opinions, a little bit of left, a little bit of right. Okay, that's all right. Would you like to hear another tune? This is your time to dance. Clap your hands and nod your head and dance until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands and dance until it's silly. Nod your head and clap your hands. You. Nod your head and clap your hands and dance until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands and dance until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands and nod until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands, dance until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands and dance until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands and dance until you're silly. Nod your head and clap your hands and dance until you're silly. You nod your head and clap your hands and dance until you're silly. Gorav Mila Mahagwif. Agus Slonga Fold. Now, I hope you're all very well and you see many a creepy, spooky, scary monster on Halloween. And you'll remember that it is, after all, originally called Samhain Eve on a Yahona. But that is all from us. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.